They're really good. That's just kind of like the number one thing is that it feels like they're a lot better than us, but it also feels like we're kind of close.
No, it does not feel like we're close at all.
It does. It felt
feels
like
there
when they
are
had
9 countries in between their world ranking and our world ranking, because there is.
It was 14-7, and it was like we're right there, and then they just kept going. I think the thing as a football and soccer, I would say I'm a football fan. I'm a soccer new fan, but there was a lot of things that felt odd when it comes to how possession gets brought from one team to another. That part was confusing.
I don't understand. I'll start with all the things I don't understand, because we're getting
they're more.
Yeah, we're getting into rugby. I mean, we're not a women's 15 expert.
That's what it's called? The women's 15?
Well, this is a 15 side. It's like there's sevens, there's rugby sevens, and then there's 15s. And so this one is 15. And I don't know what the like difference in terms of like skill or like reasoning is for like sevens versus 15s. But 15 players on a field looks like a lot of people. I'm not going to lie to you. It feels like a lot.
It's more than traditional NFL teams, which are 11v11. And it feels like that.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of people on the field.
It kind of feels like war. It kind of feels like when you watch Game of Thrones and it's like the Battle of the Bastards and you're like, oh, they're coming all the way towards us. That's what it felt like.
There were a couple times during the whole time that I was like, I think I've got it figured out now. I think I know what's happening. And then something would happen and I'd be like, okay, so obviously we have possession now. And then they would just give possession back to England. And I was like, okay, I don't understand what's happening. Because it took me, so I then started watching the game with my chat GPT that I was like, okay, so England just did this. And then this happened. And then they got the ball back. So I'm confused because it looked like a fumble to me. And I don't really understand like why we don't get the ball back if we knock it loose and then pick it up.
Oh, because you're not allowed to knock it loose.
No, but you are, as long as
it can't.
No, that's not true. You can knock it loose as long as it doesn't go forward.
Oh, okay.
It has to go backwards. But see, that doesn't make any sense to me. Because, like, to me, if you're knocking it forward, like, towards the opposing side and, like, their back line, then, like, if you get to the ball before them, isn't that more impressive? Like, shouldn't that then be possession on you? Or is it just...
To me, that feels more impressive. That does feel more impressive, but apparently that's a yellow card.
You can't, yeah. Did you hear the ref when the United States player did that? Was like, that was, what did she say? She knew what she was doing. And I was like...
Did she do? Did she? Did she?
How do we improve intent? I feel like there's a court of law.
So for those who, this is what I think I know, and probably I don't know, but you have the ball, and it's a live ball. Mm-hmm. And when you get tackled to the ground, then you take said ball and sort of like put it backwards for the little quarterback girl to grab, and then she passes it, and then they start to sort of pass to try to go forward. Mm-hmm. And then you fall to the ground and you try to complete that as many times as you can. But if someone throws the ball to you and you fumble it or drop it, it's change of possession. That's number one, I think. Number two,
it depends on which direction it goes.
Well, if it's going backwards.
If it's going backwards, then you can pick it up and advance it.
Got it. So if it's going forwards, no.
But if it's going forwards, like for you, if it's going backwards for the other team, then you cannot pick it up and advance it. But if it's going backwards for you, then you can pick it up and advance it.
So then when you get towards the goal line, you only have one try to get to the end zone. And if you get to the end zone...
No, they have multiple tries.
No, you don't get multiple tries because they
were on that end zone. They were on that line for like 8 different attempts.
I don't know about that because when we did it, we didn't get that ball. We had to change possession. But then if you go, Yeah, it was true.
No, but I'm saying like England did it where they were on the line.
Well, then they're
And
cheating.
It went like, no, they're not cheating. I think that we did something that gave the ball back.
Okay.
The
penalty.
thing that but the thing we kept doing was we kept fumbling the ball, which I don't know if that's the actual term, but we kept fumbling the ball forward. And so that was why possession kept changing over.
Got it.
We kept dropping the ball, but it would go forward instead of backwards. And when it did that, it was a...
And then, that's we scratched that out. But what I do know is if you cross the end zone line and you don't put the ball onto the ground or put your body onto the ground with the ball, that's change of possession. That's not a try. That's not a 5-point try.
Yes,
so instead of it being, so that's why they touch the ground. So if
they lead ball first.
Yes, and you have to touch the ground. It's not like football where you cross the line.
It's just the plane, right?
No, it's not the plane. And instead of it calling it a touchdown, it's called a try, a successful try. And then you get 5 points for that. And then you get 2 points for the extra kick instead of 1 point. So it's 6 and 1, it's 5 and 2.
Yeah.
Yep. And then if there's like a scrum, the scrum part's really where I get lost. I think you can't do something in there. And we kept doing that something you're not supposed to do. And so they kept getting the ball back.
Have I ever told you that I tried to play rugby once?
What? No.
Yeah, in college, I signed up for the rugby team. And
you're way too small for rugby.
And what? I went to 2 practices and then I ghosted the team.
So here's the thing about the way that the rosters are set up.
You're just ignoring my story. Like, you just don't even care. Just like barely.
Well, but here's because
let me
here's
talk about the rosters.
No, because here's the thing that you could be. Because you could have easily been on the roster if you were fast. What I'm noticing about this was directly responding to what you were saying.
Okay.
So you think that I'm just steamrolling, but I'm not steamrolling.
Well, you're typically steamrolling, yeah.
Keep going then. Or do you
no,
want
I want to hear. I want to hear. What position would I be good?
That little girl, number 9, the one that kept being when the ball would stop.
Yeah. The little.
And she would sort of shovel it. She would be basically like I think she'd be kind of like the center and the quarterback all at once.
She's kind of like the quarterback, yeah.
It's like a direct snap quarterback. Yeah. She's always back to the quarterback. But she's the smallest one out there. That could be you.
I think that was what the goal was. But they tried
was that
to
for you to be you?
Yeah, but then they put me in we practiced like a ruck, where they
yeah,
or no, a
that's
scrum,
the part
a scrum,
yeah,
where they all
yeah,
and I
that's
was like,
the part
you know
we
what?
kept fucking up.
I'm gonna get crushed. So I think
you
I'm
would
gonna
get
bow
crushed.
Out.
So what I noticed is that in the middle are where the biggies are. The Biggie Smalls is. The Indomitian Sue's. Yeah, the one that looked like she could be Haloti Nada. Anyway, she was
Hannah
for
Botterman.
England.
Botterman.
Oh, Botterman. Yeah. Botterman, she was a beast. Oh, my God. Popped off the page. So they've got the big uns in the middle. And I say this in the most. The big uns. They're the big uns. So the big uns are in the middle.
Yeah.
They're like the center backs. They're like the fucking rhinoceroses, the Alona mares. And I mean it in the best way possible. And then I noticed that things start to taper towards the wing. And you get some super little skinny, well, they're not skinny really, but they're fucking fast.
They're fast.
And they are strong. And if you can get the ball out to the outside, they are cruising.
Ellie girl.
What was her name? Her name was Kildun.
Ellie Kildun.
She killed us, and then we were done. She could have had 5 tries. She had 2 tries, but literally she's at the goal line, if that's what that's called, and passes it off to her homegirl to take the try. There was a game in the NFL like 2 years ago where Alvin Kamara had 5 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. And it was one of the most impressive things I've seen in football in my life. That she could have easily done that and more.
Alvin Kamara, Alabama football reject. She was that one where she's
super.
She
literally nutmegged somebody.
No, but she kicked it. She realized she was going to get tackled, so she drops it, kicks it, and chases it down.
Yes.
Chest bumps it up into her hands, and then runs in and flicks it
one
off
of the
to
most
side.
impressive things I've ever seen. But she also nutmegged a girl
I
through
missed that.
the girl's legs.
Yeah,
and then grabbed it and scored.
You know what's funny is, again, I feel like I recognize her from other, like I've seen her play other, because, you know, England is like the best team in the world.
Clearly, yes.
Very clearly. And like, we're not coming for England this time. We're not. Well, I'm going to tell you, when they were doing the anthems and I saw her, I was like, oh, she's going to be a problem. I could just tell she's going to be a problem.
The hair,
she just has
swag.
that. Like, she's got swag. And I was like, oh, this is going to be. And let me tell you.
They had 370,000 tickets so far that have been sold.
It's going to, I think I read it's going to be the like most attended women's rugby event in history, which is crazy. The tackles would
insane.
There were tackles that they had that would have made grown men in the NFL sit out for 7 to 8 games.
Oh, absolutely. I'm trying to find out the one girl besides Alona Mare that is really good for us.
Alona had a couple really good.
She looked really good.
Carries? Do you call them carries? What do you call them?
Yes, they are carries. They are carries.
Okay. She had a couple really good ones.
Is it Hope Rogers? Is she the one that scored?
No, Erica Jarrell Searcy and
yeah, that's the one.
Hawkins.
Erica Jarrell Searcy. She's a fucking beast.
Yeah,
she's the one who took that thing to the house, turned on the afterburners, and said, "Skit, skit." She shook somebody. Yeah, she's good. She's from Boston. By the way,
there was another one in there. Hold on, was it Hope Rogers? I thought I saw her do something.
I thought she did something because I remember that name. Anyway, we don't know shit, basically.
We don't know shit. But we're going on this journey because we want to learn shit. And by the end of this World Cup, we are going to be so locked in. We are going to
Why
be
did they have to
knowing
lift
the rules.
them up?
That is crazy. I also don't understand that. Like, this is what I don't understand about the possession thing. Like, why do they kick it out of bounds to then throw it back in? Is that on purpose?
It's kind of like soccer.
Is it strategic? Like, do you choose when to kick it out of bounds, or like, do they tell you to kick it out of bounds?
I don't know. I feel that this episode we're gonna watch back and be like, wow, we really were.
I mean,
so
I admittedly
lost.
know nothing. Like, some of the texts that I sent to you during this were.
I sent one to you being like, they can kick? I didn't
know
that.
I didn't realize that either. I didn't have any idea that they could kick. And then I was like, why do you not?
Why don't you kick all the time? I do know that I didn't even need this ESPN article. It said, history beckons in the Women's Rugby World Cup, but can anyone stop England? And I was like, I didn't need to know from ESPN that this is the most dominant team in the world, but if they're not the most dominant team in the world, then really Team USA is in trouble.
I mean, 11 tries? In football, we would call that an absolute blowout, and I'm going to assume it's the same thing in rugby. That was
That's like Oregon. That's like Oregon football against like Portland State football.
Yeah. That's like basically preseason football. We were a preseason game for England. We were a
tune-up game for them.
We were a tune-up. We were a let's work out the kinks here. Because you know what's really kind of sad? Like, I bet you they didn't even play their best game.
No, they literally sat their players and they were still scoring. Their front line was sitting down. It felt kind of like it too when it's Oregon, Portland State, and it's like 7-7 after the first quarter, and you're like, wow, like they're really competing. It's like, no, sweetie. Just wait.
No. That always happens. That's always what happens, right? Like, Colorado State will be beating, Ohio State at halftime, and then you look down and the game is like 82-17, and you're like, what the hell happened? And that's what happened here. Like, all of a sudden, I look down, and this game was so. I don't know rugby, but I understand the 7-point scoring system, and I knew that was a 7-point scoring system. That was just not gonna. That was not gonna.
No.
Wasn't gonna happen.
But I am excited that we've got excitement and anticipation and popularity around women's rugby. So I think this is the biggest it's ever been, and it's saying that ticket demand is soaring because of the Lionesses' success. So again, England has to be dominant in order for the sport to grow, just like it is in soccer.
Well, Team Red Roses, I guess.
That's Oregon's flower as well. So I guess I'll root for the Red Roses.